Efforts to kickstart dialogue between the Myanmar army and key stakeholders are getting a boost this week. ASEAN Special Envoy Prak Sokhonn met UN agencies in Myanmar today and is scheduled to speak with ASEAN ambassadors in Yangon at this hour. Bonus Leong Wai Kit joins us live. Wai Kit, any signs of any breakthrough from talks between the Special Envoy and Myanmar's Army Chief Min Aung Hlaing?
Well, some might argue that the first breakthrough has already been met, given that Mr. Prak Sokhonn is in Myanmar in the capacity as ASEAN Special Envoy, bearing in mind that this role was created in August last year, and so far nobody has been able to enter Myanmar until now. But sources who are close to this three-day meeting in Myanmar tell me that it appears that the Myanmar army isn't sincere in wanting to create a dialogue with political parties. All they appear to be interested in is in receiving humanitarian aid. Look, right now, Myanmar is not just combating COVID-19, which needs aid. It's also combating the fallout of the conflict, which needs aid. But right now, Myanmar is also bracing for Cyclone Asani to make landfall in the Delta region of the country in the next couple of hours. And when that happens, will definitely require aid depending on how much destruction that the cyclone could have. Now, Myanmar has also reportedly told Cambodia that any implementation of the 5-point consensus, which is a peace plan agreed upon last year among ASEAN member states, that it has to be Myanmar-led and Myanmar-owned, meaning to say this is Myanmar's way of saying that when rolling out the peace plan, Myanmar has to be in control and it has to be in its own terms and conditions.
Wai Kit, Cambodia has outlined the official aims of this trip as ending violence and boosting efforts to distribute aid that you mentioned. But you have spoken to others close to this visit. What have they said?
Well, sources who have seen the itinerary of Mr. Prak Sokhonn say that the agenda appears to be too wide, appears to be doing too many things. For instance, there are meetings between Cambodia's industry minister with Myanmar's finance and investment ministers. There are also side discussions on Rohingya repatriation. There are even meetings of bilateral ties between Cambodia and Myanmar. But those sources point out that Mr. Prak Sokhonn is in Myanmar in the capacity as ASEAN Special Envoy, and therefore he should be representing the interests of ASEAN with regard to the crisis. And therefore his agenda should have been more targeted and more focused on creating dialogue to end violence. And based on the agenda that we've all seen, that my sources and I have seen, there are no planned meetings with ethnic armed groups. There are no planned meetings with a wide range of political parties, including with Ms. Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy.
And thanks for that, Wai Kit, with the very latest of the ASEAN Special Envoy's visit to Myanmar.